All right, let us start this day out. Sorry for the late stream, bartender. Again, every night. I'll remind it until I get a crew here. But I am streaming late Friday night. Did not get the short night like I was hoping, so this is going to be a short stream late night. Better for the West Coasters. I guess after bar time for the East Coasters. Today, there was yesterday. It was actually yesterday, but I caught it too late to do anything about it. So we're gonna start this right off the bat here. We got a good segment. Savvy Sabs, Sabrina Silvani. The show is Savvy Sabs. Again, we're checking out something I watch on a regular basis. Well, she has a fantastic announcement for it. So let's start one off here. I have started off with some good music. If you haven't blazed yet, let's. This is freaking awesome, guys. This is really good stuff.
And this is that announcement I was telling you about. I said stay to the end because I have an announcement. How do we fight back? How do we make our voices heard? I'm going to show you. Now, CJ mentioned this earlier. Shout out to CJ for mentioning this. Because there is something coming up that everybody needs to know about. I'm going to pay close attention as it gets closer to this date to see how many people actually talk about this event. I told you before, we need to put people in the streets. That is going to be happening.
Boom. Sorry, I can't even wait for her to say it. I'm excited. This is awesome. I've been calling for general strike, and this is a way to do it. This is a way to get it started.
Let me make this a little bit larger so you can see. The Poor People's Campaign. If you are not familiar with this organization, you need to familiarize yourself with them. They do a lot. They had someone from this organization actually came on RBN a while back. I'll have to check with Nick. I forgot about that, but they do a lot for the people. And they have something coming up that is heavily important. Mass Poor People's Assembly and Moral March on Washington, June 18th, 2022. Now I'm giving you a way advance notice. It is January. This is happening in June. Make sure you pass this on to as many people as possible. Eric, if you could put the link in the, oh, you already did. See, Eric already on it.
We're going to work
Poor
this.
People's Campaign. Listen to this. June 18th, 2022. This is not a one-day event, ladies and gentlemen. June 18th, 2022, Mass Poor People and Low-Wage Workers Assembly and Moral March on Washington and to the polls will be a generationally transformative and disruptive gathering of the poor, low-wealth people, state leaders, faith communities, moral allies, unions, and partnering organizations. I'm gonna play that video in a second. It's not just a day of action. It is a declaration of an ongoing committed moral movement to, one, build power. We have none. We need to get some. 2, shift the political narrative. 3, make real policies to fully address poverty and low wealth from the bottom up. The assembly is a pulling point of organizing from fall 2021 through summer of 20.
And I'm saying right here, guys, this is, when they say poor, low income, they mean people, the 50% of people who have less than $500 for emergencies, who are living paycheck to paycheck. That 50% of people, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about a few people. We're not talking about just starving wages. We're talking about the 50% of people who can't afford an actual emergency right now. That's who we need. That's what we need out here. All 50% of us.
2022. This is how you do it. This is not a one-day event. They are starting this summer. They are going to next summer. Oh, wait, I think I said that wrong. I got excited. Sorry. Oh, organizing from fall of 2021 to summer 2022. And will spring us. No, I did say it right. Yeah. Starting summer 2022, and will spring us towards the 2022 election. This is going to be happening for a while. This is how we won in the civil rights movement. It wasn't a one-day event. It wasn't a one-day boycott. This went on for months. This went on for years. They are not messing around. Summer 22 into the 2022 election. So this is a couple of months. Along the way, we will be doing more. Mobilizing, organizing, registering, educating, engaging, and empowering people for a movement that votes. Find a bus. You don't have a car? They gonna come get you. Find a bus coming to Washington, D.C. from your state on June 18th with rally.co. I'm giving everybody advance notice, guys. Look at all the buses. We're going to get you there. We're going to get you there.
Go back. That is important. Let's sit on that for a second. That is, of course, looks like there's one up in the Houghton Hancock area. None in northern Michigan. Like, it's like looking at like Grand Rapids, Detroit, Saginaw, maybe Muskegon or something like that. Okay, well, I plan on going down anyway, guys. That's an absolute plan of mine. And I guess I'll have to request that off work right when I get up there. But I will be going up to Michigan as my per seasonal usual, and then driving on back down for this rally for a weekend. Probably driving a little ways away from town and then trying to bus in from somewhere somewhere in this area, maybe somewhere in the North Carolina, Virginia area. Stay somewhere in there and bus in from the would be ideal. Let's do it. Oh, don't take me to a commercial.
Look at all the buses. We're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. The Poor People's Campaign. This needs to happen. I told you, we got to get people in the streets. CJ said earlier, they've already got over 100 organizations to sign up for this. This is going to be a mass movement. We need something like Dr. King's speech on Washington. We need those numbers. This is what we mean. I'm going to play this video.
Literally, it's 50% of us. We only need 1% of the 50% to get up and get going. And if that 0.5% of us got up and moved, 0.5% of us got up and moved, that's 1.5 million people in the streets.
So Bespoke Post, they just send you a cool box every month.
Bam.
Awesome. This thing is.
We welcome you to the launch of the Mass Poor People's Low Wage Assembly and Moral March on Washington, D.C., June 18, 2022.
We are a new, unsettling force, and we are powerful. New, unsettling force, and we are here.
We're rising up to demonstrate the compelling power that we, poor and low-income people, have to reconstruct society from the bottom up.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
Because we know that there is no scarcity in this land. The only scarcity is the moral will to do what's right.
Oh, Lord, just a little while longer.
We are those with sub-minimum wage jobs who can't afford sky-high rent.
People with disabilities are the fastest growing minority group.
It's crazy to me that in 2021, it's still legal for workplaces to pay a sub-minimum wage to people with disabilities.
There are still so much trial and tribulations that we go through as Indigenous people. We can't get a decent wage to sustain ourselves, nor can we get adequate housing.
Veterans across this nation say enough is enough. We can't pat essential workers on the back on one day and then cut their health care the next day.
Health is a political choice.
What more do I need to do to prove that my voice is just as valuable as anyone else's?
There are still forces in denial that would try to slow walk our transition to a clean economy and a just future for us all.
We have an immoral system run by immoral people.
But together we walk and we fight.
It's time for a change.
Reconstruyamos esta gran nación.
See, we are people of resilience as we fight these interlocking injustices together.
When we work together, mobilize together, and rise together, we become a voice for the voiceless, and we become an agent of change in a time where great change is needed.
We need the third reconstruction to ensure that deaf people, people with disabilities, and all people can have the right to live and to thrive.
We know what they are doing, but the question is, what are we going to do? Reconstruction begins when we change our mentality and say it's time for you to get your foot off of my neck.
All right, school's out. The push begins. And we're going to force politicians to make decisions to affect the way people vote against them and say things that affect the way people vote against against them. Again, I'm from. The 50% of us need to get rid of 50% of the incumbents.
Do you believe that on today?
Got to do it, guys. Got to do it. We can't sit around and wait anymore. We can't sit back and just talk our way through it. We can't sit here and cross our fingers. We can't wait to another election. If you are part of the 99%, try your best to be there if you can. If you can't physically, march and protest, I understand that as well. But what you can do is share this information and pass this on to as many people as possible. The more numbers, the better. I'm not going to sit around and wait and see what happens. Some people are comfortable, they can do that. Most of us can't. It's time to fight back. Got to put your feet in the streets. I hope I'll see all of you there.
Check out her show. She's great. Yeah. Glad she's moving into a position that she's going to be doing it more. That is a good thing for all of us. That she is going to continue what she is doing and actually doing more of her events. So let me load. Yeah, I'm going to load up this Bill Huizenga. I'm going to say it wrong. I don't really care. And he is just going to be our quick little takedown. And let me get it all figured out real quick here. I'm going to try this stuff out again.
Madam Speaker, And of course I wanted to be all love, but it's not.
So we're going to move on to Michigan's 2nd District. Today we're going to cover the greater outside of Grand Rapids, Holland, Michigan coast area. Manistee National Forest down to the outer Grand Rapids. And of course, if you know anything about this area, you're going to know that Amway is ruling the area, rules the roost. So we'll start them out with 202-225-4401. Give him a call if he's your representative and you don't agree. 202-225-4401. That is our representative's office. We need to blow those numbers up and make sure they are agreeing with you. And he doesn't exactly not show up. So as far as somebody who seems to be representing his area, he has won his area, his legislation pretty well. This is a very very religious little part of Michigan there. He is on the Financial Services Committee, and he has come from he's a business person. So all of his financial, he's in the financial services, which, you know, you should always be on who gives you money. Investment properties is his thing. Financial services, commercial banks. That's, you know, you should absolutely have the person who gives you money be what you get on. That is the point, everybody. If we're gonna learn anything from this, the point is you take money and then you get on that seat. That's what happens. So I guess if you want to be on the agricultural seat, you better take money from Monsanto. You'll get on that seat real quick, like. But then you took money from Monsanto. And if you want to check out his voting, I'm sure he is going to be right down the right side of things. And that is just what it all happens as. Ballots are not that important to me, and I will not be summarizing them because they are all just that. This man is he's worth a little bit of money though. He's got investment properties. He takes a little bit of money from commercial banks, and guess who? He gets his money from realtors. He gets his money from credit associations, bankers associations. These are investment companies, and that is a super PAC, of course. That is just for straight right wingers, just a way to make it. So he gets his money from. He works in that, and he's rich from the same three industries. Not exactly perfect, but I guess if you just want somebody to vote straight right wing, he's doing it for you. If you want somebody to actually care about your concerns, doesn't seem that he is going to be taking that. And you should always take a check out what he actually stands for.
Recognize a symbol of true bilateral relations and collaboration between the Kingdom of the Netherlands and the United States. 100 years ago, a group of Dutch Americans, including Franklin D. Roosevelt, established the Netherlands America Foundation. The creation of this foundation, commonly known as NAF, has spurred innovation and cooperation between our two nations through engagement with the arts, business, and public policy. NAF works alongside the Kingdom of the Netherlands Caucus, which I'm a proud co-chair of, to strengthen the existing relationship between the United States and the Kingdom of the Netherlands. The Dutch-American network has established deep connections throughout both of our nations, which is evident by the many NAF chapters spread from coast to coast here in the United States, including in my home area of West Michigan, as well as the Netherlands. One of the greatest examples of exchanges between our nations is the prestigious NAF Fulbright Fellowships that enables the foundation to offer awards to Dutch and American scholars pursuing graduate study degrees. I'm honored to recognize the Netherlands American Foundation and its 100-year record of success in celebrating our shared heritage and enhancing our cultural exchange. These strong bonds will continue to build on our past successes and develop a more prosperous and mutually beneficial relationship for the future.
I had to say that the only reason I picked that clip was because
Madam Speaker,
the most recent that is the most recent C-SPAN clip they have of him. And the most recent time C-SPAN decided to say anything but have this guy clipped out, and from his own site even, just it wasn't on there. And this was 2 months ago. And that was for Holland is a very big Dutch area. So was my neck of the woods as well. My family's that. Netherlands, Dutch, back ancestry as well, Swedish. So, just, yeah. Alright, I mean, you know, at least he knows how to play the part. He's only a couple millionaire, a couple million in assets, a couple millionaire. He says his net worth is like $280,000 on hand when he makes $170,000. So again, I never believed that for a second. But that was our Bill Huizenga. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Nah, he's pretty standard. He's just kind of, I guess, mild to standard, but I wouldn't say he needs to be there. So if you're in the Holland and Creative Grand Rapids area, go for it, guys. He's takedownable. And let us go ahead and straight on to some comedy to finish things up a little bit.
Two redacted tonight. You've probably heard that one of the most deadly building fires in recent history happened this month in the Bronx. 17 people died, including several children, and 15 others were in critical condition. So the brand new New York City Mayor, Eric Adams, got together with some allies, and they took turns chastising the tenants for not closing the fire doors as they fled the building. Ah, the great American tradition of blaming the victims. The first American Blame the Victims Invitational was held in 1621 when the Pilgrims said the natives had clearly smallpox themselves. But here is last week's New York City version, filmed by Breakthrough News.
Close the door.
Closing the door. Legislation that addresses either the manufacturing of space heaters or the need for education about fire safety or the need for self-closing doors.
Yes, when hundreds of people are streaming out of an overcrowded apartment building fleeing a fire, why don't they just shut the door? I don't know about you, but when I'm running for my life, shutting the door is at the top of the list, along with turn off the lights, scoop the kitty litter, and leave a Post-it note to remind myself to thaw the brisket for dinner. And that's the first time I've yelled brisket for dinner. I take that back, actually. I was in a porn once in Idaho Falls because I desperately needed some clams to feed the loan sharks, and the producers were trying to appeal to a niche fetish called hamdom, in which naked people abuse a meat dish. But what Mayor Adams and his co-conspirators didn't want to mention to anybody was that according to New York City law, the door should have been self-closing. Oh, interesting. So maybe this door situation is just one small piece of a larger issue called unsafe low-income housing is deadly because the slumlords don't give a shit about poor people. Not the first time I've yelled that either. But beyond just the door, the fire department has said the fire originated from a faulty space heater. Well, man, if only we had Sherlock Holmes or the American version Richard Belzer to tell us why someone might need a space heater in a low-income apartment. Spoiler alert, it might be that the building was not heated well, which again is not the fault of the victims. If only we had some way to prove the building was not heated well. But alas, something like that could only be known to Dionne Warwick or a select few others who accidentally swallowed a monkey's paw on the vernal equinox. Oh wait, we could look at the publicly available complaint history for that building. In the past couple of months, complaints of no heat, no heat, no heat, and doors not self-closing. Well, that doesn't mean there was no heating. Maybe, Maybe the tenants were upset the movie Heat wasn't airing on basic cable. I often complain to my landlord about No Scent of a Woman, but that's not about the movie. I'm just not getting laid enough. On top of those complaints, 2 survivors of the fire filed a lawsuit recently alleging that the building was unsafe with inadequate heat. Fire escapes, sprinklers, smoke alarms, intercom, and electrical lines. The entire building lacks sprinklers and outdoor fire escapes altogether. The entire building lacks sprinklers and fire escapes? Boy, you know what you lose when you take out the fire escapes? You lose fire escape. You see, fire escapes are the most appropriately named thing since airlines added barf bags. Although, one time I did use 2 barf bags as shoes when I lost my boots in a poker game midway between Chicago and San Juan. Never bet it all on 2 of a kind when the other guy has a pair of handguns. Point being, this apartment building is something H.H. Holmes would have been proud of. Let's run an experiment. Let's cram a bunch of people into a large building with no modern fire precautions, give them no easy escape, little to no heat, and self-closing fire doors that are poorly named by half because they're not self-closing. I wonder how that will go. But why would Mayor Adams fall all over himself to blame the dead and their families within days of the tragedy instead of just blaming the absentee landlord? You don't think the 2 of them have a secret relationship like Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton, or Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton, or a wad of hair off of one of Ariana Huffington's combs, Bill Clinton? But yes, the landlord of Twin Parks Northwest, Rick Gropper, was appointed to Adams' housing transition team. Adams was also the mayoral candidate who received the most funding by real estate developers out of any other. Wow, the puzzle pieces are really coming together. And this time I didn't have to chew on them to make them fit. In the style of standard U.S. political corruption, this awful catastrophe is not simply an act of God or atheist God. Instead, it has to do with greedy motherfuckers and con men. The mayor of New York has taken loads of money from a major industry, in this case, real estate developers, and therefore he is now their indentured servant, like Harvey Weinstein is to a lifer named Lars No Neck Williams. Cute couple. And we wouldn't even be talking about Adams' standard corruption except for the fact that there happened to be a tragic fire while he's in office. But wait, there's more. As Breakthrough News also revealed, there's a reason the tenants didn't heed the fire alarm when it went off.
I didn't pay no mind at first because every day, at least 4 times a day, that alarm rings. Every day, you hear me? Every day, at least 4 times a day.
When something is wrong that much, you stop paying attention to it. Like Siri or Joe Biden or the New York Times. Eventually, you're like, oh, stop it. WMD in Iraq, Russiagate, climate change. But then it turns out the third one is real, and you're screwed. Beyond the political corruption and the slumlording, this whole story is actually the story of greed-based economics. Landlords have a financial incentive to not care about their tenants, not keep the building safe, not answer to complaints, and not call the pest detective to get rid of the crafty possum living under your bathroom sink. They're called pest detectives, right?
We just have a tragedy in an apartment in Miami. Like, this has happened in every single major city before we do anything about it.
What I'm saying is the business people who essentially own our society don't give a shit about you and me and any one of the low-income people in those buildings in the Bronx. This is a story about all of us who are exploited while a small group of ape-like saggy ball bags enrich themselves. But they don't want you to understand the deeper story, because then we would join together and demand change. Instead, they want you to tell yourselves those fire victim assholes forgot to close the door. Not to mention, housing should be guaranteed and free in this country, like lower back tattoos in Atlanta.
Especially places like that.
Coming to you from Washington, D.C., the belly of the beast. This is Redacted.
absolutely giant, crappy apartments should be free. Like nobody should be paying a third of their income to a place that like literally can set you on fire and kill you. A rat trap infested tank of nothingness. Like no, you should not live in a place like that and pay a third of your income. That shouldn't be a thing. So yeah, I guess it has to happen in every single city, and then eventually we'll catch on and do something about it. And one more channel to check out today, guys. Revolutionary Blackout. They do some really great work over there, and I have not checked this part out today. Again, Friday, long day bartender. So let's react and check this out together. Might not make it through the whole thing, but let's try.
Black Coppers class, and this is the video I want to show you guys to wrap up, because I told you guys the people who are complicit with repeating the agenda of the Black Capitalist class, the people who the Black capitalists like who are promoted and are mainstream now. It's all about hustle, grind, bling bling. Who got the biggest car? Who got the best shoes? Like it's all about capitalism and materialism, right? And I want to show you guys that, and CJ shared this. This is like the old school mindset of Black people before the Black capitalist boomers took over. This is Richard Pryor, and I want to show this video 100% and get your reaction, and we'll quickly cover the next story. But this is amazing. I love this clip so much. Richard Pryor, 1A, George Carlin, 1B. That's my opinion in terms of the GOATs, because they spoke truth to power. So when you said, looking at Richard's eyes, it felt like he wanted to say more, but no, the audience is not ready for the complete truth.
That's what it felt like. It felt like he was kind of like trying to be timid with the words, carefully select them with answering the question. That's what it looked like to me. Yeah, but hey, maybe I'm reading into it.
Yeah, that's a good analysis, because you can tell he know more, but he's like, right. I'm not gonna say more. But watch.
Yeah, you can tell.
Really think that some of the guys that you dealt with at NBC, no names, right? Because there's lawsuits for that too. That some of these guys really want to promote racism actively, or is it a subconscious?
I just think it's part of capitalism, is to promote racism, right? In order to make things work. If you feel better because you're white and you can get a job, you use that. I mean, I would.
Absolutely.
Say, I'm sorry, Jack, but shit, they say I'm white. I'm going to use this.
Right. Absolutely.
Get this job. I'm hungry. But and that separates people. So they keep people separated, and that keeps them from thinking about the real problem. That's as simple as I see it. Probably it's not that simple, but.
Now, all right. You and I are about the same age, right? We're in our mid-30s. How long is it going to take before guys who think like you, and I say guys who think like me, people who don't want to have racism in the country, people who don't want to be oppressing any minority, whatever it is, sexual, whatever minority, really get into positions of power and can change things?
You can't get in a position of power, it seems, if you think like that. It seems that the only time you get in a position of power is if you're like the people that are in power. To me, I mean, that's the way it goes. I mean, people that get to become executives.
Early comedians are always they always have the best political commentary. Like when they're not afraid of the powers that be yet.
Executives become like the people that were already executives.
I don't know, maybe
they go in with good intentions, but it eats them up. It's like a cesspool, it just gets on you and it starts
the system
eating.
Levels them.
Pretty soon it's all gone.
Is that what a cesspool sounds like?
Yes.
That's probably, I love that clip. So CJ, imagine an alternate reality where we can interview this guy. Like, how much do he really know?
Oh my Lord.
That clip is as base as it gets.
Oh my Lord.
Like, how much do he really know? Like, how much do he, like, because that clip, like, if you don't just say shit like that. Like, that clip is brilliant. Like,
no, you don't just randomly say something like that without knowing what's really happening. And especially because you got to remember, he's had two perspectives. He was dead, like broke. Like, when Black people say the same word twice, it just means very, very, so very poor. He grew up very poor, saw that side of the coin. And then he saw the other side of the coin of being, very, very rich. And he could still make this assessment. And what I want to do is just play it a little bit, but I'm going to be stopping it because there's certain parts
absolutely.
I want to kind of point out what I'm seeing on the screen and why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. So let me start it here.
Really think that some of the guys that you dealt with at NBC, no names, right? Because there's lawsuits for that too, that some of these guys really want to promote racism?
To me, let me just say, it almost feels like he's in disbelief that is even a concept, that they want to promote racism. So, but I'm saying this because there's white people who they're oblivious to this. So they really promote racism? It is a foreign concept that some entity would do something like that. So that's the first thing that stands out. But look at his eyes when he answers right here.
I'm trying to real quick.
This thing is to promote racism.
You see, he's looking to see his reaction to what he just said, to know if I can go further in or I need to back out a little bit. And to me, he felt like I need to back out a little bit because he is not going to be receptive to the truth that I have to speak. So let me soften this. That's how I look at it. Maybe I'm reading into it.
That analysis is perfect. I'm gonna try to do this real quick. That analysis is perfect because what's going on right now? You guys understand the critique that Richard Pryor just made there? He said capitalism is complicit and is tied to racism. And you guys, because you guys come from these capitalist structures, you guys unknowingly become a witting agent of white supremacy. Do you guys understand that's critical race theory? We watch this clip. Everything that Richard Pryor is saying is critical race theory. Critical race theory is critically thinking about race. But look at how people are reacting to critical race theory. They're banning black authors. They're banning people from teaching it. That's how scared they are, CJ. But go ahead.
Go back to that other clip with George Carlin. What did he say? They want people mindless. They don't want somebody educated. They don't want anybody that knows anything about the system. That's what's going on. They want mindless workers. And this goes to the critical race theory thing also. They don't want white people waking up to what their white ancestors did.
That's even in the 60s, they said, so many people were just drones at home, and they had, this new TV and these new channels, and they kept them entertained. They kept them drones at home, and if you keep them docile, they won't rise up against you. If you keep them entertained, they won't. They'll stay home. They won't be in the way. Stop what they actually do.
Really did. They don't want that. This is a reason why every white generation has to go through the same rediscovering that, wow, white people are not, our ancestors weren't that great, is because it's a lack of honesty about what happened, what it took for them to get here. Right. So let me finish up this clip, and I do have a couple more comments here.
To make things work. If you feel better because you're white and you can get a job, you use that. I mean, I would.
Absolutely.
So what he's doing here, in my opinion, he's making white people, he knows what audience he's at. He's making them feel comfortable about their privilege. Like, hey, you got privilege because you're white. Hey, I would use it too. That's what he's basically saying, kind of like trying to be like, hey, you using your privileges, I would do the same thing, making them feel good about their privilege.
I'm sorry, Jack, but shit, they say I'm white. I'm gonna use this.
Right, absolutely.
Get this job. I'm hungry, But and that separates people. So they keep people separated. And that keeps them from thinking about the real problem.
You see, now he says what he says, and then he tries to back away with this next comment, Nick. This is how I'm just telling you how I'm seeing it. With his next comment, he's trying to say, well, maybe that's it.
That's as simple as I see it. Probably it's not that simple, but
no. All right, you and I.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting the vibe that he knows.
About the same age, right? We're in our mid-30s. How long is it going to take before guys who think like you, and I say guys who think like me, people who don't want to have racism in the country, people who don't want to be oppressing any minority, whatever it is, sexual, whatever minority, really get into positions of power and can change things?
Nick, you started the same. I'm playing this part here for this question. The question is so, let me play it again.
Really get into positions of power and can change things.
Let me play this again.
want to like me. I say 4 we're the same age. Now, all right, you and I are about the same age, right? We're in our mid-30s. How long is it going to take before guys who think like you, and I say guys who think like me, people who don't want to have racism in the country, people who don't want to be oppressing any minority, whatever it is, sexual, whatever minority, really get into positions of power and can change things?
So,
oh my God, that's actually worse. The second time.
I'll let you say your part before I say my part. Go ahead.
That's actually worse the second time. Like that's like the third time I heard it. Actually worse that time because I was thinking about it in another lens, because and hear me out, guys. And he low key doing defense for the establishment, right? Because we explained to you guys, like, once you become part of that executive branch, just for example, once you become part of Congress, once you become part of the system as he describes it, like if you become a police officer, if you're a good guy with good intentions trying to change the system, they're gonna run you out. They're gonna pour a ton of money. If you're running their elections, they will defeat you. If you do win, they're gonna spend a ton of money to defeat you or censor you. If you're a journalist, they may imprison you. Like, they don't play fair. They don't play fair. So the question is on the premise of, we have this system, we have these elections, and if we just have someone who's a smart and passionate about helping people, then things will change. We played a clip in George Carlin that they fucking yanked off YouTube, where he says, like, bro, the reason why nothing's changing, because the only way you get through these systems is through the elite institutions like Harvard and Yale, which are morally bankrupt. The position of Harvard is the position of the apartheid state of Israel. That's why Dr. Cornel West had to leave. What's the term? They didn't give him tenure.
Didn't give him tenure.
They didn't give him tenure because the position of Harvard, the position that come out of the elite establishment, is the position of genocide. The position of pushing the weapons of mass destruction. That's Alan Dershowitz, who's been a Harvard professor for 50 years. So you can't change the system when they're going through this system that is extremely toxic. And that's why this question is really bad. And that's why Richard's like, what do you just ask me?
The question, but let me break down the question right here.
You and I are about the same age, right? We're in our mid-30s. How long is it going to take before guys who think like you, and I say guys who think like me, people...
So he's trying to say, I'm not racist like you, right? Like, he's trying to, I'm like you, Richard. Like, we're together, people like us. I'm gonna get back to that. Let me just point that out.
To have racism in the country, people who don't want to be oppressing any minority, whatever it is, sexual, whatever minority, really get into...
Nick, the point I want to make here is that this concept that a lot of white people believe, that all it takes is for them not to be racist, for racism to go away.
Yes.
Without fixing the systems of racism. So it's like, the question is, how long is it going to take? As if it can be done without fixing the system of repression, without fixing the police state, without fixing the military industrial complex, without fixing the oppression, without fixing the corporate capitalist capture of our government. Like, without fixing none of that, how can we get rid of racism? You can't. You can't. That's the answer to your question, is you can't. But it's the idea, Nick, that there is a...
That was really good. Good job, CJ. That was freaking awesome. Ooh.
Good segment of white population who believes this. And this is what we talk about, white silence. Just, I'm not racist, so I'm not doing anything, so I did my part. Go ahead, Nick.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly what it is. I got Black Lives Matter in my bio, so I can vote for Jim Crow Joe. I can support the police state, undermine all our activism. But I'm a good guy, trust me. I got your back, trust me. It's preposterous.
It's like, but think about it. Think about white American culture. The ability to live simultaneously like everything's great while you're killing off indigenous, the ability to live like everything is great in your world while you're enslaving Black people. You get the ability to just live a completely separate existence and label yourself a free country and label yourself freedom and label yourself free speech because you're only talking about the existence of white people. That's why you're able to say these things about this country. Or we're just doing this, or we're good at this. Really? Really? Because what is the numbers for Black wealth? Like, I think the number in your article was it 6.4 or 6.8% or something like that? Was the new number? It used to be 9.4. I forget the amount. But think about that. 500 years here, and you're talking about we're not even 10% of the wealth, and we've been here this long. So either, Nick, this actually applies to all the conditions of Black people. Either there is a system that's keeping Black people where they are, or you're saying Black people are like that. That's your only two options, Nick. That's your only two options. Either Black people are just born being criminals. Either Black people are just born, being, taking drugs. Either Black people are just born wanting to be in gangs. Either Black people who are born, wanting to do these things, or there's a condition that's facilitating this. And that's my point.
Again.
This is Democracy Now!, Democracy Now!
If you ever watch any of those things, fantastic example how it goes straight to something more Main Street.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the Black.
But revolutionary blackouts, Nick Cruz, TJ, they do regular work, a lot of protests, a lot of rallies, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be pushing really hard on independent candidates and mostly that kind of protest rallies, and they're the one that have Rome, and Rome will be out. You can catch his live streams every Saturday and Sunday morning pretty much, and he'll be at some strike or some protest every Saturday and Sunday, and that is always a good live stream if you need to know that there's still people out there doing things. And if you want to be a part of some protest or rallies, I am part of rallylist.com. I'm on their emailer for my locals. So, like this weekend, you have one against Biden in Minnesota for trying to push him for immigrant rights now. So, pushing him from the left because he is a centrist. We have a Stand With Ukraine in New York City. We have a Rally 4-row in Phoenix. And these guys will they'll email you if there's anything coming up in your area. I get alerts, pretty much anything for the state of Michigan or Florida. Because, again, I live in both states. And that way you can work on things and look at things that are in your area, even if you just, I had one in my area that I got to drive by, and it was supposed to be, of course, for anti-mask, anti-mandates, and they just had all sorts of random Trump, fuck Biden. It was all over the board of just the random things that can happen. And it really deters from the protests when there's so many different things. You can't, I knew what it was because I was a part of Rally List, but if your message is lost up, you you might need to reconsider how you get your people out there. I mean, you want as many people as possible, but if your message is obliterated by just the randomness, that's not going to help the cause, guys. So let's join. There's a couple rally and protest different sites, and if you have any that you want me to check out, send them in the link. Throw it on the comments afterwards, and let's spread some words. Let's get out there and rally this weekend.